Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, and we are going to celebrate the holidays a little bit. We're bringing back one of our featured guests from previous shows. Welcome back to the show, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And you and your family just went on a very maritime cruise on the Disney Fantasy, didn't you?
We did. It was fantastic.
Okay, so just to kind of remind everybody, why don't you give everybody a little bit of background? You're down in the Florida area. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of background, since it's been a while since you've been on, kind of your experience with Disney Cruise Line and just cruising in general?
Sure. So we live in St. Augustine, Florida, which is about 2 hours north of Port Canaveral, which is nice. We've been able to travel quite a bit with Disney Cruise Line. Some of the Florida resident deals started cruising actually in 2009 when my oldest son was 2 and my middle child, who's also a boy, who, by the way, now my oldest son is 11, but he was 2 at the time, and my middle son was 6 months old. So that was a great experience, and we loved it. Brought both sets of parents also on that cruise, but we had such a great time that we made it an annual tradition. So this last cruise was actually our 10th family cruise. I've been on 11, but 10th. So all of the family except my daughter. I have a third child who's now, and she's 6 years old. She hasn't been able to go as many times as we have yet, but she'll probably get there. But they all became platinum, the rest of the family. So that was exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. And we were talking a little bit beforehand. This was your guys' big planned cruise for the year, right?
Yes. So we always plan an annual cruise, and then if there's something in between that pops up, that's a good deal. We might jump on that too.
All right. So before we talk about, let's just talk about the ones that pop up. Do you kind of watch the website quite a bit to look for those Florida residency rates, or how does that work? Because I know they come out once a week. So are you the type of person that looks every week, or what's kind of your theme?
Oh, I have it in my calendar. So on Monday morning, it pops up, check Disney Cruise Line, because that's when they post the new Florida resident rates, and actually the new rates for all of the different specials that they have. And so we'll just, I'll just take a look, see what's going on.
Perfect. Well, this was a very maritime cruise, and thank you for coming on. I know you guys just got off this, about a week ago?
Yes.
Yeah, a week ago. So thanks for coming on so quick, because I wanted to get it out to everybody for Christmas, a little Christmas present to them, and I appreciate you doing that. Had you guys been on a very maritime cruise before?
We did. So last year was our first very maritime cruise, but that was the Western Caribbean. So this time we wanted to try the Eastern Caribbean.
Okay. And was this something easy to fit in at this time of year? I'm just kind of thinking, like with the holidays, I don't know about your guys' house, but it's been crazy here for us, trying to get everything done with school and everything, and Christmas is coming and shopping and stuff like this. Was this something that was easy to fit in?
I wouldn't say it was easy to fit in, but we don't have to worry about flying, so that certainly made it easier. And it was before my son is now in middle school, and so he has midterms, and those weren't starting for a week and a half after we got back from the cruise. So we figured we'd do it before that and not try to squeeze it in towards his midterm time. So it worked. It ended up working, and the price was actually really good. So very early December is actually the rates are pretty good.
Okay. And how far out did you guys book this one?
We booked it right after our last cruise, which the Western Caribbean one last year, which was also early December. So when we got back, we had put a placeholder down, and then we figured out which one we wanted to do for the next year.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm kind of thinking about it. We used to go, and we haven't done it the last 2 years, but we kind of went down to Disneyland. We were doing that right after Thanksgiving. It's kind of a time when the crowds are a little bit lower, and it kind of puts you in that Christmas spirit by going down there with all the decorations and everything. And actually, I say it wasn't hard to fit in, but what we really enjoyed about that, and I'm thinking maybe you guys enjoyed about this too, was it really put you in that spirit. It kind of got you away from the hustle and bustle of everything going on at home, and you could just really relax and enjoy it. Did you kind of have that same experience?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we came back, and you really felt like, isn't it Christmas? It should be Christmas right now. Like, we were so engulfed in Christmas stuff. It just felt like, it was great.
Yeah, I'm kind of missing it. Like, I don't know what it is about this year. It's been, I guess we've just been so busy. Christmas is just like just a week away, and I feel like I haven't really got into the whole spirit of it. And going to Disneyland like that, and you going on the cruise, I think it kind of gives you a little break and puts you into that spirit, huh?
Definitely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk about the cruise itself. Okay. So you guys drive over to Port Canaveral. Any tips for anybody, for our listeners who are driving to Port Canaveral that you have as far as getting to the port itself?
So one thing we noticed this time is we usually try to get there by like 10 o'clock, and traffic isn't too bad getting in, but they had several ships that were going out that day, and between Carnival and I think there was Royal Caribbean going out and Disney, it was really backed up, and it was difficult to get in and to park. So next time we're like, we definitely are leaving earlier, because we try to leave by like 8 a.m. so we can get there around 10 or so. And this time we didn't get in until 11:30. It was very, very crowded getting in and getting parking.
I wonder if you could go to the Port Canaveral website and take a look and see how many ships are in that day or leaving that day.
Yeah, you could. But Saturdays tend, I think, what I heard is a very busy day. Several ships go on Saturday, so something to keep in mind.
Perfect. So now being Platinum, you guys have, early bookings, so you guys try and get on as early as you can. And I'm totally drawing a blank. In Port Canaveral, do they do anything separate for Platinum cruisers as far as getting on the ship early? Is there a separate line, or is that just concierge I'm thinking of?
No, they do. So if you're Platinum, you can go to the concierge area and check in. And this was the first time we could do that because I was Platinum, and they allowed the whole group to come, which was nice. And I was very excited about that. But we had kind of missed the window of being able to get on early because I think it was like group 10 by the time we were even walking in. So we went over there, though, and it was nice. There was somebody right there to grab us and get all of our stuff that we needed. They were able to get the kids their youth bands. And so it was a very fast process. And then they said, okay, just go back and get in line, and you can just board the ship at your leisure, basically. It was a little bit anticlimactic because I was thinking that we'd have like, ooh, wow, we'd be able to sit in this cool area, this and that. But it was literally just a little bit faster in line and then getting in. But still, I think it's nice that they have that separate area.
Yeah, it's a great perk once you reach that status level to help you get on the ship a little bit faster. Well, let's talk about the cruise itself. So this is 7-night Eastern on the Fantasy. Where did it go, and what were your stops on this cruise?
So it had, right off the bat, 2 days at sea. Then we went to Tortola, and then St. Thomas the next day, another day at sea, then Castaway Cay, and then back home.
Thinking about the Very Merry Time cruise, they've got a lot of different activities on board, and we'll get into that in just a second. But was there anything that you could book ahead of time to experience on the cruise besides just the normal port adventures and Palo and whatnot? Was there anything that was like Christmas related that you could book ahead of time?
No, and I looked for that. There was nothing extra. There used to be, so the gingerbread houses, you'd have to get on the ship as close as you could and sign up for that at guest relations. But this time they changed all of that. So now it's gingerbread cookie making, gingerbread man making or decorating, and it's pretty much open for anybody, but they'll give you a time slot just to try to spread people out. But I think they were just sort of accepting anybody that morning. They had it in Animator's Palette on one of the sea days. It actually was the day 6, so the sea day before Castaway Cay. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I had a good time. We were actually able to do that one, but nothing else.
Okay, so you did sign up for that ahead of time, or you signed up for that when you got on the ship, or you just showed up?
When I got on the ship, I asked about it, and they said, here are the couple of times. This time we're going to put you in 8:30 in the morning, probably because it wasn't as full. So come during this one. But it looked like they had a few time slots available. I'm thinking, though, honestly, because of the way when we walked up at Animator's Palette, they didn't ask for a room or anything. It was just kind of, here's, wash your hands and come in. That anybody probably could have come and done it if they knew about it.
I kind of wonder if they maybe changed that because, doing a gingerbread man or a cookie is going to be a lot faster and quicker. They can get more people through versus doing a house, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. And it's probably less expense to some degree, too.
Yeah, well, there is always that side, too, right?
Yeah. But yes, it was kind of disappointing when we weren't able to do it last year because they only had a certain number of gingerbread houses. So now they're able to do a lot more people.
Okay. Well, talk about the ship getting on. How is it decorated, or what's different about it for these Christmas-type cruises?
Oh, I love the Christmas cruises with the decorations. It's just beautiful. And you get on and you can smell the gingerbread house as soon as you walk on because they have the big life-size gingerbread house right there in the atrium, and they've got the giant tree. Now, it's not fully lit yet because they do that at night, which we did attend the tree lighting ceremony again, which is a lot of fun. But just decor everywhere, lots of trees and lights just around the ship in various different locations. And the music as you walk throughout the hallways, it's just awesome. You feel like Christmas all the time. And they'll change it up a little bit. There might be, when you're going to the island, there will be Christmas Caribbean type music. And then at other times they'll have some of the old-fashioned classics that we know as you're walking through. And then they'll do some Disney Christmas songs as well. But I love the music. They do such a good job with music.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we went on our Mediterranean cruise, I was really amazed that they changed the songs when we went from Italy to France. They were playing kind of Italian type music, and then when we went into France, they changed the music up there too. So it's amazing what they do with it. It really kind of adds to the mood of the ship, doesn't it?
It does. And we did the Art of the Theme show tour this time, and they talked about the music, and they brought us down the hallway and showed us the subtle change, and you don't even really notice it as you go from like the adult area then to more family area, and the change of the type of music that they play. And when you pay attention, you see it, but otherwise they do such a good job on that transition. It's impressive.
You know what? Let's just jump into that. What else did you kind of learn? What were some of your other takeaways on the Art of the Theme show tour? Now, that's a tour that you can book once you get... Well, you don't have to book it. You can just show up for it, right?
Yeah, we just showed up, and it was actually, there were a lot of people there. It was impressive. I'd say they had about 50 adults who were there.
Wow.
But we started in the Meridian bar, and they talked quite a bit about that, and they showed us how they made it look like a luxury liner and some of the really neat little intricate details that they have in that bar that you don't always pay attention to. I'm probably not going to remember all of them, but then they brought us out, and then he started showing us like the details in the carpet and you know how they have the stars that are going forward. That's how you know how to follow those to go forward at the ship. And then of course he talked a lot about in the hallways where they'll have either a fish on one side or there was a fish on one for port, and that's how you'd remember it, fish, 4 letters, port. And then on the other side, it was starfish, and that was starboard side. That's what it was.
There you go.
Anyway, that was really interesting. And then he showed us all the art. We'd go up and we'd go down each of the floors, and he'd show the art within the stairwells and gave a little bit of description of those. One of the paintings has, at least on the Fantasy, the original hair color for the Little Mermaid, which was supposed to be black originally.
Huh.
So they had a black-haired princess, and they said they decided that the audience didn't seem to maybe like that color as much, and it didn't feel as fresh for the sea or whatever, and they didn't have a princess who had red hair. So they thought this is a great opportunity to change the hair, and they went to the red hair, and they said that actually audiences really liked the red hair. But anyway, you can see the painting with the princess or the Little Mermaid with the black hair, the original one. It's kind of neat that they have that on the ship as well. And then there's also a painting down between the 5th and 4th floors of the ship that has one of the Lost Boys, and he's holding his umbrella, and he's pointing up, and it's actually pointing towards the kids club, and it's coming from the adult area. And his joke was, whenever you're in this hallway, you can take a look to see where he's pointing so you know where your kids are, and one of the Lost Boys to go find them. And they said they purposefully put these pictures like that around, and it's kind of interesting. And they have all of them based on whatever's on that floor or in that vicinity. So it's pretty neat to really just take a look at some of those details.
Yeah, that's an amazing tour. I can't wait. I'm hoping to do that one on the Fantasy as well. I've done it on the Magic and the Wonder, and there's just so much detail in the ships. If you're kind of a geek like I am and about the ships, I really encourage you to go, for our listeners, to go and look for it in the Navigator. They usually have it once or twice on the cruises, and you just show up and you can learn just so much about the ships. It's about 50 minutes long, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
It was right at about an hour, and we've never done one before. This was my 11th cruise, and now I'm like, we got to do this on every single boat. This was awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So, well, let's get back into what you guys kind of experienced. Now, what kind of cabin did you guys book this time?
We had a deluxe ocean view veranda.
Okay.
Or with veranda, and we had connecting rooms. So my sister-in-law went with us as well. And so there were 6 of us total. One neat thing about this with the verandas is they're able to open up the 2 back verandas and give yourself a really long veranda, which was awesome. So we just had this nice big veranda in the back between the 2 rooms.
It's a nice big open space for you guys to enjoy. Now, I'm guessing, with the whole Christmas theme and just knowing, spending some time around Disney World and the way people decorate, the places that they're staying there, and just out of the regular cruises, did people do a lot of decorating of their rooms and their doors this time with the Christmas themes?
Yes, they did. And we did too. We decorated our porthole with some Christmas stuff, and then of course everybody brings their really cool fish extenders, and a lot of those were Christmas themed. It was really neat.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you think about doing a veranda on a longer cruise like this where you have the sea days? Did you guys use it quite a bit?
We use ours a lot.
Okay.
We really enjoy sitting out on the back. And so for sail away, we don't really go up to the sail away party much anymore. We order the fruit and cheese platter that you can get from room service. And then, we've all brought on our 2 bottles of either champagne or wine. And so we'll open up a bottle of champagne. We'll have our cheese and fruit, and we can wave to people from our balcony as we're sailing away. And it's always awesome.
Yeah, I love just sitting out there watching the sea go by on the sea days and having my coffee in the morning. It's just beautiful, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic.
Okay, well, let's talk about dining then. So I know you're a fan of Palo, and did you guys go to Remy this time?
We went to Remy Brunch.
Okay, Remy Brunch. Well, before we get into the specialty ones, let's talk about the main dining rooms. Was there anything different that they did on a Christmas-type cruise as far as the food or kind of the service that they had during the cruise?
Yeah, I was really trying to pay attention to that to see, and no.
No, that's okay.
I didn't notice anything different unless I'm just missing it. It seemed like it was pretty similar to the menus we've seen before. I do think they added a few new things, which was nice, maybe just because I was really scouring the menu this time. But there did seem to be a few different things on there. Anything
stand out in the different restaurants you went to this time that you wanted to talk about?
We always love the escargot. My kids ordered 2 or 3 plates of it. They even love the escargot. My boys absolutely love the escargot. But, no, that was good as usual. It seemed like maybe they had a couple of holiday choice desserts, and those were good. But other than that, it's always good. Disney does a good job in regards to food. So,
well, let's turn to the specialty dining experiences that you guys had. What did you guys do this time? You went to Remy Brunch. Well, let's talk about that a little bit.
We had Remy Brunch, and that was on our first sea day. They bring you into a separate area, and it's just maybe 8 to 10 people that are starting off the first group, and then they have the chef come in, as well as, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the individual who comes and tells you about wines.
The sommelier.
Yes, he came in as well, and they shared with us sort of the meal that we were going to get, or the various dishes that we would get, and really gave a good description of each of the courses we would receive, and then talked about all the various pairings that we could do with that. And it was a champagne brunch, so we started off with champagne, but you could add on, I believe it was an extra $30 to add on the pairing itself, so that you would get a champagne with each of the various courses as well.
Did you guys do that this time?
We did. We actually shared a pairing, but the reason was we had a champagne tasting right afterwards. So I was like, I don't want to ruin the entire day by having too much champagne. So me and my husband split a tasting. And my sister-in-law, she got her own tasting.
Okay.
She loves champagne, which is good. And, we just did it that way. But I will tell you, we split it, and he probably gave us like 2/3 of the amount we were supposed to get for each of us, as opposed to half.
Oh, no.
So I was like, ooh, I better be careful for tasting coming up.
We got our tasting next, so.
I know. It ended up being okay because it was a long lunch. It was about 2 hours, and, you're eating the whole way, so it was okay.
Any dishes stand out during the brunch that you really enjoyed?
So I remember saying that, I think next time we'll do Remy dinner. I've done Remy brunch before, and it was good. I feel like the dinner, they do a little bit better job, I guess. Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say it was good. I guess I was less impressed this time, but maybe then also I've had some of the dishes before, so it's not quite as new.
Not quite as exciting the second or third time around.
Yeah, the second or third time around.
Okay.
See, Palo brunch is always exciting because you can get so many different things.
Uh-huh.
But they don't change the menu up as much, it seems like, with the Remy brunch. So
I like the fact that the chef comes out, though, and talks a little bit ahead of time, kind of what you're going to experience.
yes, and then you learn how much work is put into each of these dishes, which makes it taste better. I don't know why, but it does. You're like, wow, look at all this stuff they did, instead of just bringing something out, and that was nice.
Well, let's continue on to your champagne tasting. I never really talked to anybody about that. Can you talk a little bit about how they run that?
Yes. So they have you all sit down and they bring out, I believe it was 5. It was 5 different glasses. You don't get a full glass, but you get a tasting of all these different champagnes. They'll describe what each one of them is, let you taste it before moving on to the next. They go through the entire process of how champagne is made, which is also very fascinating. And of course, you know, champagne is only champagne if it's from that region. That's the only way you can call it champagne. Gave some history about the champagne makers that we were tasting. So really, it's just a great experience as opposed to just trying something and saying, oh, this is good or it's not so good. Really having a better understanding of where it comes from and how long they've been in business and making the champagne, etc. It's always fascinating to me.
It's a really good learning experience. Was that back in the Meridian Bar, too, or where did they have that at?
No, that one was in, it's not Pink. It's the one that's on the Fantasy, the champagne bar that's on the Fantasy.
Let me look it up quick.
And
Ooh La La? Was that it?
Yes, Ooh La La.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. That's the champagne bar.
Go ahead.
I like Pink better, but Ooh La La's nice too.
Okay. What's the difference between the two?
Ooh La La is kind of like that old French sort of feel bar. I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like very delicate looking chairs and that sort of thing with the nice soft colors. Whereas Pink is, I mean, it's like big glass balls and bubbly, and you just feel like almost you're in a champagne glass.
Okay.
It's kind of neat the way they do the decor in there. I don't know if that helped.
No, it does. Yeah, so Pink is on the Dream and Ooh La La is on the Fantasy. So there we go.
Yes, Pink's on the Dream. Yeah.
All right. Well, how about the anything else as far as dining or the lounges that you guys experienced?
So we also this time did a chocolate and liqueur tasting, which was fabulous. That was on Another Day at Sea. And we really, really, really enjoyed that one. That was also at Ooh La La. And they brought us different liqueurs and had chocolates. There was like this chocolate soup thing that they made. There were little pieces of nice types of chocolates and truffles. And I can send pictures because it was just an amazing setup as you walked in for the things that you would try. And that was a lot of fun.
It's amazing how when they pair it with the liqueur like that, how much it really brings out the flavor of the chocolate, doesn't it?
Yes, and we had a port as well, was with one of them, and so it said it was liqueurs, but they also included champagne with one of the chocolates, so it was just different types of alcohol that they thought would go well with the chocolates.
Well, before we turn into some of the Christmas stuff, how was the kids' clubs this time for your kids on board?
They absolutely loved the kids' clubs. I think they spent more time there than they've spent on any of the past cruises. They had a really good time with Gaga Ball and with Foursquare. Whenever Foursquare Gaga Ball was going on, they're like, I'm out of here, and they just run to go. But they absolutely love that. My daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, I swear every time I would go, she would just start bawling. She didn't want to leave. I'm like, you can't be in here for 12 hours a day. But she absolutely loved it. I think more so than she's ever loved it before. So they had a really good time. There's always so many things to do, so much variety. And apparently they were doing some various Christmas activities, all the favorites as well, you know, the Pluto's pajama party, which they love doing, going in their pajamas and making the pillowcase that they can bring home.
Mm-hmm.
And then just all the games and activities. They just love going there.
I think Foursquare is making a comeback or something because my youngest, he's a 3rd grader, and like they play it all the time at recess.
Yeah. Yes, it is seriously come back. They love it.
Yeah, they're competitive with it too. So I don't know. I had heard my older son. I don't think he played it too much, but all of a sudden it's like the rage on campus, I guess. So that's neat that they did that too. So well, awesome. Well, let's move on to some of the different things that they had available as far as the Christmas festivities on board. They offer a lot of different things, and I don't want to just go through like a whole list, but what were some of the things that you guys experienced on board this time?
So we went to the tree lighting show on the first night, and that's always fun. The characters come out and sing and dance, and then they pick a family who throws some pixie dust on the tree, and it lights up, and the entire atrium lights up, and it's just gorgeous, and then it stays lit the rest of the cruise. We also went to the Santa's Winter Wonderland Ball, and that's where the carolers come out, and then Santa comes out and basically says that he's come onto the ship, and now we have Santa who's going to be with us for the week. And so they bring him on board, and he comes out and waves to everybody and does a little thing. And then they have snow at the end in the atrium, which is really cool. And, you know, it's the same snow they have on, like, Main Street and the Florida snow, I call it. But a lot of fun. So, you know, you can get some cool pictures near the tree with the snow falling and all that.
With Santa on board, do they have, like, an opportunity for the kids to go and meet him, too, then, or...?
They do. So they have various times, and you can look in the Navigator and see when Santa is taking pictures, and people will come with their kids in pajamas and get pictures. It's always cute cards that they can create if they want. But we didn't end up meeting Santa this time.
Okay.
I had it in my schedule, and other things came up. But it just gets kind of crazy. And, you know, we have our Santa that we like to see here in Florida that we see every year. So this was going to be just the extra Santa on the cruise. So we didn't go see Santa this time. Mrs. Claus comes out and does a story time. We missed that as well, but I heard from some of the other guests that they really enjoyed that. She told a couple of stories, and then the characters come out and dance with them as well. There's also a holiday deck party that they have with some of the characters who are dressed up in Christmas getup. And I don't know why we missed that this year. We went to it last year, but we ended up missing that. So those are some of the big shows, I guess, if you will, that they do on board for Christmas.
Do they do a pirate night on these then as well, or?
They do.
Okay.
They did pirate night on the Tortola night.
Okay, so you got the holiday deck party, and then you also still have the pirate night and the pirate deck party as well. How about the decorating the cookies? How many cookies did you guys get to decorate? Was it like as many as you wanted, or just out of curiosity?
So they put us at a table for 4, and it ended up just being me and the boys for that event. The gingerbread man's maybe about as big as your hand. You get frosting and these little candy beads. And, you know, you can do whatever you want with them. There was plenty of both to decorate. We ended up taking the other cookies, since nobody was sitting there, back for my daughter. We couldn't get her out of the kids club. Back for my daughter to do later. So she had fun decorating it later. We brought all the stuff back. But there were tons of open tables, so there was plenty of space for people.
That's kind of good to hear, because I remember you talking last time where... Did you guys miss out on the gingerbread house last time?
Did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
So I'm glad you got to do that this time, and it sounds like it's plenty of space for everybody to do it if they want to.
Oh, yeah, and one other cool thing that happens is Goofy Santa comes in, and he goes to each of the tables to see what you're doing and take pictures and stuff, so that was kind of neat.
I'm guessing just the characters in general all have kind of their Christmas outfits this time as well.
They do, but depending on the day, like Castaway Cay, they didn't have Christmas stuff. They had their Caribbean stuff on, so it depended on the day. But yes, throughout the cruise, you could get plenty of pictures with characters with their Christmas stuff.
Well, how about some of the entertainment? Did you guys take in any of the shows, or some of the maybe the adult entertainment after dinner? What were your thoughts on that this time?
We ended up going to more adult entertainment than we had in the past, and I really liked it. It was neat. One guy, his name was Michael Hawley. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he does physical comedy, he calls it. And if you're going on the fantasy, you have to see him. He's hysterical, and he was really good. He walks like a tightrope. They had that set up in the Tube, which is one of the adult lounges, and was just doing all kinds of crazy stuff on there, and he was hilarious. We went to the Magic and Illusion of David Da Vinci, and he was fine. I don't want to say anything negative necessarily. It's just hard to keep didn't keep the kids' interests all that much, or the adults. So, and we usually don't go to that type of entertainment. We usually just hit the big shows. So it was okay. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. We also went to, I think it's called, her last name is Trevsker, but her first name's Lynn, and she's a ventriloquist. And that was on the very first night, and that was actually a really funny show. She brought up some kids and some adults and did some different stuff. She is amazing. And I actually was pulled up on stage, and she was doing this little bit. And I looked at her mouth, and when she was doing the ventriloquism part, you couldn't even tell. You couldn't see her doing it. It was impressive, even up close. So she was really good.
Did it make you nervous to go up, or was it kind of fun to go up on stage?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm one of those people. I'll go on stage.
Okay. I think the first couple cruises we went on, we went to the big shows, but now, our kids, just like yours, they love the kids clubs. And so we'll do like one or two with them, but then we've done several of them at night just, by ourselves. And it's fun to interact with when you get a chance to go up and do that like you did. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was really fun. There was a comedian on, too, and I wish I could remember her name. I'll have to look for it. She was absolutely hysterical. We went to two of her adult shows in the Tube, and it was just absolutely hysterical. And the nice thing is it's not so dirty and over the top, some of the comedy that you'll see in some of the other places. Like, we've gone to some of the comedy clubs on Carnival, and they're funny, and they're not too outrageous. But on Disney, you're getting really good comedy that doesn't have to sort of hit you in the face with some of the things that they say. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. No, it's edgy, but it's not over the top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. It gives you enough. You don't need any more. But it's
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leave a little bit to the imagination.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you. We just did a show. It's going to come out here in a couple of weeks on the different shows on board the ships. Have you seen Aladdin? And what your thoughts? I don't know if you saw it this time necessarily, but what are your thoughts on Aladdin?
Yeah, we've been to Aladdin several times, and I guess every time we've been on the Fantasy, and we went again this time, and we really liked it. I like how the genie has new jokes every time, and again, new jokes, and kind of keeping with the time, some of the stuff that he says. So we really liked it. We enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I think the genie kind of makes it. I haven't seen it. Well, obviously, I haven't been on the Fantasy yet, but I saw it at Disneyland, and then my wife and I had a chance to see it on Broadway, and the genie really makes that show, doesn't he?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. It's the genie. Yep.
So, well, great. Well, let's turn to the two ports you guys went to. You went to Tortola and St. Thomas. Let's start with Tortola. What were you guys' plans there, and how was it?
So, Tortola, we did the tour to Virgin Gorda, and we picked the later time. And this is a tiny bit off topic, but the day before was a day at sea, and there was a group on our Facebook who set up a pub crawl.
Oh.
And I've never heard of this before, but let me tell you, it was massive. They had like a couple of hundred people who had signed up for this pub crawl. And it wasn't something that you had to go and do, with everyone. I mean, they gave us a map. They gave us a little booklet, and each of the pubs you go to, you can get the bartender to put a stamp, and you can talk about what drink you got or who your bartender was. They gave us a pin. It was a really neat thing, and it started at like 9 a.m, and it went till midnight. So you could go to every single one of the pubs on the schedule that they had set up during the hour time period if you wanted to. And I think we only went to like 3 or 4 throughout the day, just saw the different people and said hi to all the people in the group that were hanging out there. But I think there were some people who were serious. I mean, they hit every single one throughout the entire day. But anyway, so we knew that was the day before, and we weren't sure how busy we were going to be with that and if we'd want to get up early or not. So we ended up doing the 12:45 tour just to give ourselves a lazy morning, essentially. This is the one that goes to the baths, and I cannot tell you enough how awesome that was. And so if you've never been to the baths at Virgin Gorda, I absolutely highly recommend it. That you have to take a boat. So you start by getting on a boat that takes you across. It's a large boat. And then they have different small trains or trolley type things that'll then bring you over to the baths. And the baths are a national park for that area. And these things are these giant volcanic rocks that have been placed there, and it's very rare to find something like this anywhere in the world. And you can go through these little crevices. You have to climb with ropes to get up to different areas over the rocks and into other nooks and crannies. And there's places where you're waist deep in water going through like cave-looking thing. I mean, it was absolutely awesome. So I highly recommend when you're going in March, if you look into that, to do something like that if you haven't done that yet. You have to be physically able to do it. And the reason we've been to Tortola before, but we had never been able to do this because our daughter wasn't old enough. So I think the age limit might be 5 or 6. It might be 6, and she was just able to go with us. Now, of course, you can do a tour outside of Disney and probably go, but we wanted to do it with Disney, and it was great.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it right now as you're talking about it. So the baths are different pools, it looks like, I guess? And then do you swim in them, some of them, or?
You can.
Uh-huh.
Now, what Disney does is they have guides that'll bring you first all the way over to this sort of more private beach location where there's some more of these volcanic rocks as well. So you kind of want to follow them so you know how to get there. But it's really neat. I mean, just climbing over these things and under areas. And then on the way back, the guides told us, okay, well, you can come back with us and we'll show you how to get back. But we saw these cool little like outlets we could go to where there might be a small pool or an area closer to the beach that had rocks near it. So we said, well, we'll go back on our own. And we did some exploring. We got some amazing pictures.
It looks just beautiful looking at the pictures here on it. So, I hadn't even thought about that. I know we want to do snorkeling one day, so that was one of the things we thought of, but I'm going to have to talk to my wife and kids this afternoon and show them this.
It was really unique.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we really enjoyed it.
Well, awesome. Did you spend any time then in town when you get back, or what did you guys do?
Well, because it was so late and we didn't get back until, we were supposed to be getting on the ship basically within 30 minutes when we got back. So we just went right back on.
Okay. Have you been into the town there at all, or is there much to do or see? Is it just mostly just kind of touristy shopping, or? It
is kind of the typical touristy shopping. It is a nice area. The last time we were there, we did, I want to say that's the time that we did the sailboat.
Okay.
And you can take a sailboat out there and they'll take you to the various islands. And it's just gorgeous, that whole area, all the little islands that are out there and everything you can see. We were actually talking to one of the crew on the smaller ship that took us over to Virgin Gorda, and she was telling us the story of she's like made it through the last hurricane, and her family just huddled down, and she said walls were just flying and being destroyed around her, and so they'd run to the next neighbor's house and try to get in an area where it was more safe, and then when that would tear down, they'd find the next place, and whoever was the lowest and had the most walls, basically. And she said somehow they all survived, but she said it was absolutely horrible. But listening to this story just puts things into perspective on some of the devastation and what they've gone through. And it's impressive because they've rebuilt everything from at least where we could see it. But that was crazy. Actually, I take that back. There were some areas when we were taking the little trolley tram thing, they did bring us through some areas that still looked rather devastated from the hurricane. So
yeah, I couldn't imagine living through something like that, so I'm glad. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was quite a story she had to tell us. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I know I've heard this on other, kind of cruising podcasts. The best thing that we can do is just to keep visiting the islands there, and
right.
Yeah, and that kind of helps bring it back for all the people that they really count on that tourism. So.
Oh, they absolutely do. And being from Florida, we've lived through a lot of hurricanes. It's just completely different. I think with obviously a Cat 5, Cat 4 hits you like that, like straight on. We've never had that quite happen to us. So yeah, it was crazy.
Well, let's move on to St. Thomas then. What were you guys' plans there, and what did you guys do?
Okay, so St. Thomas, we did the Castaway Catamaran sail and snorkel to Shipwreck Cove. And that, we did an early one. I think that was the only one that was available. Well, we had to be out there at like 8:15, and it was raining like a lot that day. We ended up having a great time, and it was actually pretty cool snorkeling with all of this rain, because you go under the water and you look up and you can just, it looks wild as the rain's pounding on the water above you. But so we did that, and the crew were fantastic. They did a great job making sure that the kids all got everything they needed, all their equipment, everything was included, and went out and saw this large shipwreck. And he was telling us this story of how they had to really push hard against the government, who was, I forget what they wanted to do with the shipwreck, but essentially they were going to move it or take it away. And so they pushed hard to make sure that it stayed and is maintained there, and that everybody can still go out and enjoy it, because there are tons of sea turtles. We saw sea turtles coming up and swimming around, and we saw lots of fish. So that was a really fun excursion.
So you saw quite a bit of fish and turtles and everything, huh?
Yeah, we saw a lot. Okay. And the sea turtles, that was really cool. They swam right by us. I'm to the point where we had to tell people, don't touch the sea turtle. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, then you get another sea day, and then you guys are on to Castaway Cay. I know that you've been there quite a bit. What did you guys want to do? What were you guys looking forward to doing, and what was your day like there?
So Castaway Cay, we weren't all feeling as well as we had hoped that day. We were a little bit under the weather, but we still wanted to run the 5K, and my boys ran it under the weather, but they still ran it.
They were troopers.
And they were serious troopers, because this is the first time my 9-year-old was able to run it. I think technically you're supposed to be 10, but they'll allow 9. I'm not sure. So I don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. But it was very different this year. So usually you have to sign up for it, you get tickets, they mark you off and all of this and before you get off the ship. This time they had a staggered start, maybe because we were getting off later, I'm not sure. And you just showed up, and there was one person who was kind of checking to see if you signed off. And then there was another person who was just here, and was just handing out numbers for anybody who wanted to run. And then the guy who did our Art of the Theme Show tour, he was there at the start, and he was fantastic. But he would just start, when you get a big enough group, he'd say, all right, I'm going to count down for you now, and just count off so that you could feel like you were starting, even though you'd missed the start 15 minutes ago. He was just doing this for groups as we went. We just took it really leisurely and had a good time, and always loved the Castaway Cay 5K. That's a lot of fun.
Do you guys go back to the ship afterwards and then come back out to the beach, or what do you guys usually do?
Usually we do. This time we packed everything up because we weren't getting off the ship until 9:30.
Oh,
so since it was so late, we just brought everything with us. We got some good chairs that way too, because a lot of people still weren't off the boat, and we were able to just set our stuff down and have that ready for us when we got back, and just change in the restrooms and the changing facilities. We're good to go.
Oh, that's good to know. I never really thought about that. They do have changing facilities in there, don't they? So you don't necessarily have to go back if you bring your stuff with you, huh?
Yeah, it saves a lot of time, too.
Okay. And so what are some of the things, did you guys just relax on the beach that day, or did you get out and snorkel, or what did you guys end up doing?
We didn't snorkel. We sat around in the sun a lot. We did our bike ride, our annual bike ride. That's always a lot of fun. And we did the mojito tasting there at, I forget the name of the bar. There's a bar that's at the very end of a long pathway, and it looks out on the ship. It's a really neat location. Oh, I'm just terrible with names. But anyway, so they do a mojito tasting at 2:00. Every time they go to Castaway Cay, there's always a mojito tasting there if you're interested. And it's neat because you're overlooking the ship, and it's kind of towards the end of the day, and you can try some different mojitos.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I'm trying to find that bar for you. Oh, the Heads Up Bar.
Heads Up Bar.
There we go.
Heads something, yeah. Heads Up Bar, yes.
It's kind of down by Pelican Plunge.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly where it is.
Oh, that looks perfect. Yeah, you definitely would have a great view back at the ship and everything like that. Well, it sounds like just a wonderful day there on Castaway Cay for you guys. So
it was fun.
Yeah. So from there, that's your last night on board the ship. Did they do anything special for kind of a Christmas farewell at all, or is it kind of the same thing, just kind of Christmas themed?
Exactly. That's what it was. And we only walked by it. We didn't really stay for the whole farewell show either. So we went to Believe that night. We went to Disney's Believe. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
you get off the ship and head back home. Did you rebook again this time for next year, or what were your thoughts for the future?
We didn't. We did a placeholder again while we were on board. So we're going to have to look. We're actually looking at other ideas for next year. I'm not sure what time of year, and maybe we'll push it back a little bit. I'd love to go on one of the new ships. So wondering if we should hold off until then and just wait and see if something comes up in the meantime. That's a good deal. That might be something that we do. So we're just playing it by ear right now.
Yeah, it's nice to have that placeholder. I didn't really realize the value of that. I mean, I was kind of slow to the show on that one. As far as it's nice having that and being able to get rather than rebooking necessarily. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? You know, like, I mean, obviously, if you know what you want to do, then yeah, go ahead and rebook. But it's nice having that placeholder to get that extra bit of money off once you find out what you want to do. So
I agree.
Well, anything else, Carol, that we missed talking about today that you'd like to talk about with your Very Maritime Cruise?
No, overall, it was great. Disembarkation, I did want to bring this up because this was interesting. It was really, really crazy and busy for disembarkation. And Disney doesn't usually have numbers and times for when people are supposed to get off. But they said that something was going on in Port Canaveral with the TSA or the Port Authority. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but they said they didn't have enough help and this and that, and it was insane. I've never had this happen before. We didn't get to our car till almost 10 a.m.
Wow.
So I know. And we had tried to get off about 8:30 was when we started, and they basically told us, if you've got time, can you just go up to the fourth floor and like hang out and just sit down? So we did, near the area where you would put your placeholder and, you know, rebook on the ship and that sort of thing. We just got a cup of coffee, and it was just crazy. We kept watching downstairs and it wasn't getting better. Nothing was moving. And so we just started then exploring the ship a little bit. So me and my daughter are taking pictures. It's all empty for the most part, except for some of us who are just waiting it out. And we didn't have anywhere to go. We just had to drive home. So we got some kind of neat pictures in some different places. And then it wasn't until after 9:30 that they were like, all right, let's try to get everybody off now.
Huh.
So, yeah, it was a lot later than usual. It was interesting. And so then people trying to get on the ship, oh my goodness, it was like these huge lines of people as we're walking off. And, you know, they were all really excited to try to get on. It's always fun seeing them because you're like, oh, have a good time. I wish I was you. But
it goes by so quickly, doesn't it? Even on a seven night cruise, it's just like,
I know,
a blink of an eye and you're off again. But
I know, it's crazy.
Well, thanks so much, Carol, for coming back on. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to kind of share your family's experience on your Very Maritime Cruise. And when you guys book that next cruise, I'd love it if you'd let us know and come back on and tell us about it as well.
That'd be great.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Carol for coming on and taking time out of her busy schedule to share her and her family's Very Maritime Cruise on the Disney Fantasy. And for all of you out there celebrating Christmas today, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you Merry Christmas. And for those of you who are celebrating some other holiday this holiday season, we want to wish you happy holidays as the days continue and we head on into the new year. If you would like to get a hold of Christy and I between now and our next show, you can always reach Steve over at DCL Podcast on Facebook, also DCL Podcast on Twitter. You can always find Christy over at packyourpixiedust.com, Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook, and Pack YR Pixie Dust on Twitter. So between now and our next show, if you're heading out on your next vacation, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe travels as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and taking a lesson. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.